I will say here what I said then. I cannot blame them. And I understand there's others out there and coaches out there who say that you're leaving your teammates in the lurch. That may be true. And that's something that obviously a player has to deal with, that you look your teammates, your comrades in the face and you say to him or her, we're done now because I've got to think about myself. There is an I in team, and there's a lot of zeros at stake. And the last thing I'm doing is putting that all at stake over one batch of 4 quarters in which anything can happen. And now in the category of anything can happen, you can include a shoe exploding. I mean, it's nuts.
Not what I thought we would be coming on today to talk about.
Less than a minute into the game, Zion Williamson's foot broke through the seal between the bottom of the shoe and the top of the shoe. Just glue it, baby.
Just glue it.
Right through. And
I've never seen anything like it
before. But here's the thing here, okay? Like, we're all filling a void here. We're filling a void. We don't know. Right now, it could be so serious that there's no question he's done for the year.
Right.
Right now, it could be as mild as Coach K initially called it last night after the game. And Zion Williamson is sitting wherever he is right now, hearing this debate. I'm sure it's all over the airwaves, radio, and television. It's all over the place. Are there any airwaves on television anymore? But, well, sure. I mean, I shouldn't say that sitting at DirecTV, but you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's everywhere.
Everywhere.
And the question is, Zion could be like, of course I'm playing. He could be sitting wherever he is right now. Of course I'm playing. And it's not Duke's job to put him out there right away, despite him being the most famous college athlete right now. I mean, with ultimate respect to the rivalry and all the terrific players on both teams, it's not Duke's job to come out and say what Zion's thinking right now. But right now, he could be sitting there thinking, of course I'm playing. But he has shown everything. He's shown there's nothing left for him to prove, with the exception of how will he play when all the chips are on the line in a win-or-go-home contest. That's the only thing that we have yet to see out of Zion Williamson. How will he play? Whole country tuning in, win or go home. It's a playoff game. How will he fare in that crucible?
I don't care.
You don't care, and that absolutely is an appropriate reaction. I cannot sit here and say, who the hell are you to say something like that?
Yeah.
And Zion, you owe it to Duke. You owe it to your teammates. No.
Nope.
I'm not the one whose shoe exploded. Again, how many times you're like, well, in football, because obviously this is the thing that we've been seeing playing out in college football, so I'll keep going back to that analogy. How many times do you see in football? Well, anything can happen, right? Look what happened to Jalen Smith. Somebody did something stupid after the play.
And Jake Butt still hasn't come back.
Right. How many times just non-contact it'll happen? Now you can throw into all of this legitimately. Well, what if your shoe explodes? I'm serious, though.
I know you are.
It sounds absurd.
It's crazy.
It is a total freak accident.
It's a total freak thing.
So we're filling the void right now with, well, players should be paid. Well, and then that was what we were filling the void waiting for tip-off with last night when we heard how much the secondary ticket market was. That clearly it's to see Zion play and R.J. Barrett and Reddish and all of the UNC stars. You know, I don't know if anybody was paying extra to see Luke May play, but, man, he played his head off with 30 points. He was terrific. And that's another thing to talk about Duke here. I know Zion went out, and it took a while to just like, oh, my God, his shoe exploded, and is he seriously hurt? And they don't know, and they've got to collect themselves. But that's why you've got an all-time great coach sitting there on the bench to corral everybody and say, look, let's do it for him. Let's put it all together. And the 10-point halftime deficit turned into a 16-point loss. even without all of these guys, right? It's not just the Fab 1 plus 4. It's supposedly the new Fab 5 that they've got out there.
It's true.
Or Fab 4 plus 1, whatever you want to call it there in Duke.
I mean, Luke May had one of the greatest games in the history of this rivalry. 30-15, no one's talking about it.
Well, because his shoe stayed intact. His shoe didn't explode. And then there's all that stuff about Nike stock and boy, Adidas is going to make this in their commercials.
And Puma.
And guess what?
Puma had a troll tweet.
Guess what? After a while.
Nike's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's like. So I'm not getting caught up in the shoe war. But what we can get caught up in is if you out there listening to me or calling in or watching, we hope you call in 844-204-RICH. Would you come back and play?
Yeah, that's the poll today, Rich.
There are, as we know, let me count them up, as Daryl Morey is going to come out and join us here shortly. There are 1, 2, 3, Knicks, Cavs, Bulls, Suns, 4. 4 teams you could say legitimately tanking for Zion Williamson right now. You know who the Knicks are.
For sure.
Okay. So you know you're going to be number 1 overall. You know it. With all due respect to R.J. Barrett and everyone else. You know it. You've proven what you've proven. You've proven you have love of the game, too. Love of your teammates. Kid's shown it. Because that's another thing we're going to be talking about the Combine next week. Well, he's great. His tape, this guy doesn't lie. Well, does he really love the game? What's his heart say? Does he have it in his blood? That's evaluators have all these conversations. You don't have that question about him. And if he decides not to play anymore, do you think the Bulls, Cavs, Knicks, and Suns will be like, well, let's start winning games because, we don't want to tank for that guy. He just quit on Duke. No, that's not happening. So it won't change anything. But what it would definitely assure him of is he won't be on the floor again with the chance of his shoe exploding on him. And that's our poll question today. Go for it, Chris.
If you were Zion Williamson, would you come back and finish the year or sit out until the NBA draft?
Here's what I would do. I would play.
Just for kicks and giggles, or
only live once, man. And as much as I'll always shoot you straight here. As much as when I watch it and see all those people hopping up and down and going nuts, as much as I truly despise it, I mean, with every fiber of my being, Duke has the most annoying crowd ever, anywhere.
Yep.
They want it so much. They live it so much. And part of the reason why I'm annoyed by it is I deep down sometimes wish something as silly as a basketball game did mean that much to me. So there is a jealousy aspect of it. I'm not going to deny that. As I said, I always shoot you straight. But man, is it friggin' annoying. But if it's for you and you're feeding that and you feed off of that, he'll never have a situation like that in the NBA. So we all know in professional basketball, it's not like that.
I think opening night at Madison Square Garden will be like that.
Maybe. But come on. It's not.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying.
And then the NCAA tournament, there's a certain history to it.
Sure.
And
totally.
I would sit here and say, what are the odds that my shoe explodes on me again? I got to play.
This also makes me think about Trevor Lawrence playing intramural basketball.
Right.
Freak things can happen.
And everybody's like, well, what else does he have to prove? He's already won a national championship. Why risk 2 more years of playing when you know you're going to be a top pick in the NFL? Because the reason why you play is for love of the game. And
or your shoe explodes
I know.
On national television.
I would do it. I would say to him, look, what are the odds of this happening again? And guess what? You only live once. You're never going to have it again. You're never going to have the Duke uniform and play it and have Coach K and everybody together and go for it. But if he says no, I would not sit here and say, you're selfish, what are you doing, and blast him.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.